going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of What the Game Means to Me. I'm, of course, one half of the podcast, Jelani Brown. Got my co-host with me again today, Thaddeus Bell. How you doing, bro?
What's good, man? Glad to be back. Another episode right before the college football playoffs kick off. So let's get to it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I know I'm in a different spot today. Of course, I had to come down visit my parents, celebrate with them for the New Year's, and Happy New Year's Eve out there to everybody that's watching. But yeah, like that just said, it's a big game. Big days been last few days for college football. Obviously, it's bowl season, and the two biggest bowl games kick off today. So of course, we'll be hitting on that, all of our thoughts, our predictions, and who we feel like will move on to the championship. Then we'll hit on some NFL at the end, and also talk some of our best and worst sports moments or just moments in general in 2021 as we welcome in 2022. But before we get to all that, let's drop the tape.
Here's Michael at the foul line. A shot on Elo. Good! The Bulls win! They win!
Don't you open your mouth about the best, or I'm gonna shut it for you real quick. LOB.
Listen, we talking about practice. Not a game, not a game, not a game. We talking about practice.
Lewis gets it to LeBron for three for the win. Yes! LeBron James at the buzzer!
Pass is caught! Diggs! Sideline! Touchdown! Unbelievable! Vikings win it!
What was your mindset when you stepped in the batter's box?
Go yard. I mean, I'm a pitcher. Why not swing as hard as I can? I got nothing to lose.
It's nothing to man above. Don't put you in situations that you can't handle. Instead of saying why me, they're saying this is what he want me to do. And Cleveland, this is for you.
The way we approach the game is the same way we approach life. You do the right thing. You make the right play. Make the right play. And in life, it's the same thing. What do you feel in your heart is the right thing to do? And you do that. You know, it seems so simple, but sometimes the simplest things are the hardest things to do. And I think it's just that.
Welcome to
What?
The game.
Me,
To me.
All right, and we are back. And like I said, we're gonna hop right into it. Actually, before we hop right into it, of course, I don't wanna not shed light on some of the other bowl games that happened yesterday. So I was on the road. I didn't get to watch many of them. I did get to catch some highlights, of course. I know there was some controversy calls and some teams that came back and ended up winning. But of course, that I'll let you hit on some of the bowl games, some of the important ones yesterday. Like I said, maybe the Cincy Purdue one. I know that was a controversial call, and it was a back and forth game, and they said I guess a touchdown to win the game from Tennessee didn't end up counting. Cause I saw the highlights, but I guess a lot of people didn't. There was a lot of controversy about whether it should have been a touchdown or not. What did you think about it?
Oh, it was a great game, an entertaining game, very two offenses going at it, shot for shot, pretty much. There was about 5 touchdowns in the last 5 to 6 minutes of the game. So it was pretty wild. And then, in OT, there was a controversial call on 4th and goal where the refs kind of blew the play dead early, in my opinion. That's what it was. So the guy at the time when they blew the whistle, he was short, but he wasn't down, and the refs kind of blew it and, called it down early. So Tennessee got stopped on 4th and goal. And then, in OT, you're right there pretty much. So all they had to do is kick that field goal, and that was about it. It sucked, but it is what it is. But it was a very entertaining game on the offensive side of the ball. Defense needs some work. And then the other game was Michigan State and Pittsburgh. Did you watch any of that one?
Mm-hmm. I think I got to see, like I said, some of the highlights. I was on the road the whole day yesterday.
Yeah, I mean that one was it was a solid game as well. Pitt was already without Kenny Pickett, and then their second string quarterback got hurt on a touchdown run, so they were with a third string quarterback, and it was looking good for the most part in the first half. But in the second half, it was kind of like Michigan State. They got it together. They clamped up on the defensive side of the ball. They looked at the tape and made adjustments, and they pretty much came out and dominated. Connor Hayward, Gwinnett native, he set the tempo pretty much with a nice little one-handed catch to score the first touchdown in the second half, and then from there it was just a blowout. They were throwing interceptions. They had a pick six to seal it at the end, and then Peyton Thorne bounced back, which, he started off sloppy in the second half, but he got it together in late moments and crucial moments, and they pulled away with the win. So good win for Mel Tucker. And two good games last night.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. Oregon and Utah played, right? Not Oregon, Utah. Oregon and Oklahoma played.
I
Right?
didn't really watch that one. That was the night before, but that was a good win. Bob Stoops
Yeah.
coming back to coach a team that just lost their guy.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, both teams were without their original head coach with Mario Cristobal going to Miami.
Yeah.
So it was a rough one, but good win for Oklahoma, and it was a nice moment at the end, celebrating his teammates because he recruited some of those guys. So it was a good moment for both of them.
Exactly. But we'll definitely move on. Hit on to, like I said, the two most important bowl games of the day, ones that will basically make up our matchup that we'll see next week in the championship. But we'll hit on Alabama and Cincy. That's the first game of the day. It kicks off at 3:30. So highly anticipated. Like I said, some people don't agree with some of the non-power teams getting in, but Cincy has been dominant for the last 2 years, undefeated this year. Finally cracked the top four and like I said, had their shot at a college football championship. But they do face a mountain of a program in Alabama that's pretty much been here for every single one of the college football playoffs. And like I said, some people are expecting a big blowout. Some people are expecting a close game. I know for you, Dad, you have some family that has some ties with this game. As you have someone that went to Cincy, so I know he's pulling for his team big time. But what do you think will happen in this bowl game? Do you think it'll be close or be a blowout?
I'm really torn because a lot of people think it's going to be a close game with John Mechie being out, and then Cincinnati. One thing they do is excel in pass defense. They only allow 163 yards a game with their two All-American corners, Kobe Bryant and Sauce Gardner, who's going to be, from what I hear, I watched a little bit of the tape. I know he's going to be first round, but some people say like the first half, like top 16. So we'll see. But they play in the back. They're really good in the back end, but I just think that, Bryce Young is a dynamic quarterback, a Heisman winner for a reason, and he's going to be able to overcome, with being without one receiver. I'm interested to see what they do on defense, though. Traveling with Jamison Williams and Sauce Gardner are going to follow him, but they have two All-American corners, so you never know. They might just, play their base defense and leave them be. But it'll be interesting to see what happens. I think Brian Robinson will play well. I think, though, if they're able to run the ball, they'll keep Cincy on their toes and not. If they have to, they get in situations where they get in third and long and they just have to drop back and pass. I believe Bryce Young can make plays, but it'll be tough with their secondary they have. So, I think Bama will be Bama. On defense, they'll play well. Will Anderson will be upset about his Heisman snub, and he'll come out just playing like a monster, and he'll change the game, making a couple game-breaking plays. And I just think that I think Cincy will compete because, they're hungry for the opportunity. But, knowing St. Nick and Bama, I could easily see this being like a 42-10 type game. But I'm going to show a little respect to my uncle. They wasted their money going down there. I'm going to wait to tell them after the game. But I'm going to go Bama 42, Cincy 24.
Okay, 42-24. That's not too bad.
Like 42-24 when I say that, with them like pulling away with a pick six or a late touchdown.
Okay, yeah. So basically close throughout. But like I said, score indicates that it wasn't close. But what's up, Prez of course, Off the Ball Network? Appreciate you for giving us a platform. We're on here, of course, talking some of the some of our thoughts and ideas what we think is gonna happen in the game today. And I actually think you hit a key player's name. I don't know if I'm right or wrong, but I think they're gonna try to hit the run game hard, like you said, keep Cincy on their toes early, and then try to big plays over the top with Bryce Young, because he is, like I said, he's a very, very patient quarterback, and he's kind of just like his coach. Like he's gonna take what's given to him. He's gonna make the smart play, make the smart read, doesn't make too many mistakes, doesn't have too many turnovers. Like you said, they are without one of their top receivers in Michi, but they cycle them in and out. Obviously they still got Williams. They don't have to, like you said, with those two, All-American pretty much corners, they don't have to, have someone follow them. But given what I believe, could happen, like I this is one of those games typically, and we've seen it in past playoff games or championship games with Alabama, where one of those receivers, third, fourth string receivers, step up big time and have them a big game. And, like I said, they just cycle them in and out. So we never know, but I think they are going to hit the ground running first, like I said, get Cincy on their toes and then try to hit big plays over the top. But on the other side of things, Desmond Ridder had him a great season. I think he finished like 8th in Heisman voting. But showing him respect as well, got his team to where they are. They're pretty explosive offensively as well. Like I said, he doesn't make many mistakes either. I think had him a career year. I think throwing for his most touchdowns in his career there at Cincy. So it's going to be a battle. Alabama hasn't been the greatest defensive team that we are used to seeing in past years, and this year we came in thinking they were going to be top 2, top 3. Pretty much throughout the entire year, but they've shown that through certain games, even against my Florida Gators, that were god awful this year, that they can be had, whether it's on the ground or in the air. And they're also without, one of their top corners in Joe. So Josh Joe. So yeah, you never know. Like I said, since he could, like I said, attack through the air, Alabama attacked on the ground. But all in all, I think Alabama does pull this one out. They've just been there before, has the most experience. Have the more talented team. Like that's not a knock on Cincy at all. And I personally think, like I said, I think it'll be close. I wanted to go with Stu's score line. His little 34-24 prediction, even though he kept saying Cincy would get blown out by 24 plus points the entire time. He's been talking about them possibly getting in, but I think it'll be somewhere close to like what you said, like 34-24, or like late interception, late pull away TD, like 40-24, something like that. But I do definitely think it may be a closer game than many think. But other than that, we do have a special guest joining the stream. I don't know if he wants to join in for the college football segment, but we'll add him anyway because he's definitely one of the all-star cast members of our OT BN network, and definitely want to show him some respect. But Jerg, how are you doing today, man? Appreciate you for joining.
Hey, appreciate you. First off, do I sound good? Because I have no idea what the new apartment stuff. Am I good?
Fine.
Oh, we beautiful boys, beautiful.
Oh no, you're perfect.
Beautiful. So this is my second show since I've moved. Low key agreement with Chris. I got to show up to at least 2 shows a month to not get kicked out. No, I'm playing around on that part. But hey, I'm excited to go. It's been a long time since I've been on. What the game means to you. One of the best podcasts.
Exactly. Last time was our NHL show. So earlier, I think earlier in this year, where we had a good time. We got a lot of questions wrong.
It's fine. Hockey fans, trust me. Hockey 201, the next level, that'll be coming one of these days. Don't you worry about that. It might be in a different state, but that don't change anything. But hockey's on the back burner here. It's college football playoffs. I apologize for interrupting you boys, but I definitely wanted to hop on today. Please continue what you guys were talking about.
Yeah, that's it. You're all good, all good. Do you have any predictions scoreline? Because we're about to move on probably to Michigan, Georgia. But any predictions scoreline? Anything you think is gonna happen in this one?
So I kind of made a joke in the chat of like my expectations for this game. It's like, do I expect Cincinnati to lose? Yes. Do I expect them to lose by 5 touchdowns? No. I don't think they'll actually lose by 5 touchdowns. I think this is such a well-coached team, and having working where I work now, I've seen a lot of Cincinnati footage recently to where it's like, I kind of vibe with this team, man. So if I had to give a score, I still think it's going to be relative final margin, right? Because it's Alabama. But I think Cincinnati will keep it close for most of the game, and Bama will probably pull away in the fourth quarter. I think maybe 38-24, 38-21. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if that's the score. And I think if you're Cincinnati, like, I think a lot of people are being unfair to Cincinnati. Like, if they don't perform well here, then no out of the Power 5 can ever make it again. I think that's such a BS standard. Like, for Cincinnati to just get here is an accomplishment, and they deserve all the credit in the world. And they should not carry that kind of legacy after this game. That's not fair to them. This is just what they're doing. So I think Bama will pull away, but a heck of a job by Cincinnati to make it to this point, because like the whole point of the college football playoffs is to get the 4 best teams. And like Cincinnati, you could say whatever you want about competition. They performed this year, man. And if we're not going to reward the winners in the sport, then why are we even bothering changing the system, right? You might as well have just kept the BCS. So I think Cincinnati deserves the credit. Do I think Bama will still beat them by 2 touchdowns? Yes, but like they've been so special this seson. You can't take it away.
They can't do no worse than Notre Dame has done in the past year. So I'm all for another team being in there. And definitely glad that we got rid of Notre Dame, being in for whatever the case may be. But this, like Jeff and everybody else has kind of been allocating for. This is just, you need to expand it. I'm all for expanding it to 16. I feel like that should happen within the next 1 or 2 years. I feel like it's not hard to implement, but I digress. I'm no I'm not in the college, NCAA college board. I'm not making decisions. But for everybody that doesn't know, Jared works for ESPN, so he has the insight on everything. Like you said, he gets to see the Cincy film, cut everything up and put it together, and kind of give us a insight on everything that's happening. So like you said, he says Cincy tape is a lot better than a lot of people are giving him credit for. So I'm gonna take his word for it, and I think it's gonna be a lot closer of a game than people say as well. But shout out to our guy Mo. He says that who has a better game, Young or Ritter?
Oh, Bryce Young. Bryce Young easily. I think they're going to be able to, utilize the weapons they have. They have a nice little tight end as well. And then I just feel like if they're able to establish the run game, it's going to be easier. I think Bryce Young is going to show why he's the Heisman winner too for a reason. So, we'll see. Cincy on the other side, they have a 2,000 all-purpose yard rusher and Jerome Ford. So it's going to be a chess match on both sides. But I'm going with Bryce Young for sure.
I can see that as well. Like I said earlier, he's patient, doesn't make many mistakes, but it's going to be a good game overall by both squads for sure. But next, moving on, another game I think that has a lot of people split, but a lot of people have been picking Michigan more than I would have thought. And I think one of the reasons maybe why, one of the reasons is probably what Dad's going to say when I go to him about who he thinks is going to win this matchup. But Georgia, Michigan, who you got? Oh, my fault. Mo had another question real quick for you. Another question, thoughts on Cincinnati secondary?
Oh, yeah. Like I said in the prediction earlier, I said it's going to be tough. Kobe Bryant and Sauce Gardner are All-Americans, first-round draft pick on one side and All-American corner on the other. So it's going to be tough. And then, like I said, they only allow 163 yards a game, which is tops in the FBS. So, it's going to be pretty tough. But Bryce Young he's a 5-star. And, Jamison Williams, I'm just interested to see how they guard him. Are they going to send Sauce Gardner with him every time, or are they going to just let both corners play on the island? So, we'll see very soon.
Yeah, I definitely think they start out, like I said, they'll start out playing their normal base defense, no shadowing, but then eventually, I think, like I said, one of the Alabama receivers is just going to step up, and I think they're going to feel like they're going to have to shadow Jamison and, play a little bit of different defense than what they came in game planning for with Michi being out. But like I said, Georgia, Michigan, I think this game is going to be a battle of the trenches for sure. I think Georgia ranked like second or third rushing defense, and Michigan was top 10 in rushing offense. So, Dad, who do you think is going to take this game?
Like I said in previous episodes, it's tough for me when we talked about this matchup. It's going to be a chess match on both sides, but I just feel like JT Daniels would be the better quarterback for this moment. And like I said, if they said he'd been getting some first-team reps, I'll feel good going into the game. But if not, I'm rocking with Michigan. Georgia's very good in run defense. They only allow 81 yards, but, the combo of Corum and Haskins will just be tough for UGA to stop. McNamara is a very good game manager. He only had one game over 300 yards, but he's only had 4 picks on the whole season. So, he's done the game managing part pretty well. He's kept them in games and not lost them games. So, that's one of the key parts of being a game manager. And I just feel like, in this one game, he'll be able to make a lot of plays. I know Georgia's defense is very good. Michigan doesn't have too many dynamic receivers, but I feel like they'll be able to establish the run game. And they've just been pretty much playing bully ball, the last 2 weeks with Ohio State and Iowa. And I know UGA is different. They're not Iowa and Ohio State, but I just feel like Michigan will be able to establish the run game enough. And, like Chris asked right here about Bennett, if they make the change early, I think they have a shot, but I don't think they pull them early unless they're they're down by double digits. So I think they leave Bennett in the game until it's too late and Michigan comes out with a victory. I'm gonna keep it close to be respectful of Georgia, so I'm gonna go 28-24.
Yeah, I like that score line as well. I was gonna go with that, and we joked about it before we got but they may have to pull Alabama pulled against them in the national championship in 2019, because I honestly don't think Bennett's gonna get it done either. I think JT Daniels, unfortunately he got hurt, but I think he's their best shot of winning this game. And I don't want to knock on Bennett because he has gotten him to the point that he has gotten him to. So, he obviously deserves to start and deserves to, continue to play. But I just think I think Daniels does, give them a better shot at winning, especially in the air and with all the weapons that they have at receiver, and Pick Ems and a few other folks. But like I said, I definitely feel like this one's going to be one in the trenches. Whoever establishes the ground game first. Both teams love to run. But like I said, Georgia does have the more dominant rushing defense. But it's also going to be. I also just look at just momentum. Michigan has been on a high. They've been playing great. Obviously, just won the Big Ten championship. Being Ohio State for the first time in forever since Jim Harbaugh has been there. So I just think their momentum is on their side. They're feeling good. I know it's been weeks since all this has happened. Everybody's been able to get film in, get practice in, and game plan for each other. But obviously, Georgia's coming off a pretty defeating loss. Can't get over the hill of being Alabama. Even after having a great season, having an undefeated season. No game that they've played, I think you said it before we got on, that has been within 17 games. Their closest game was against Kentucky, and they beat them by 17. So, just them, like I said, their whole thought. I don't know if they're going to overlook Michigan. I doubt they are. Obviously they can't, but they've been wanting Alabama. They can never beat them. They can't get over that hump. So, this is just another obstacle in their way. So maybe they come out with some fire and looking to, get to that national championship again, possibly win it. But Jared, what do you think about this matchup? Who do you think is going to win?
So funny enough, Jelani, you mentioned about me editing. So for those that, I think people that watch us know. So I'm a production assistant, right? And as a PA, I cut a bunch of clips, right? The last 3 days, the amount of Georgia and Michigan tape that I have cut and looking at different – I've had to apologize to Mo and Jeff a couple times in the chat because when it comes to Michigan running, man, they ran all over Ohio State in that game. Shout out to our OSU boys. This is going to be an interesting game, to say the least. I think there's two different ways to look at this game. I think it's going to be – well, apologize. The main battle of this game will be the Georgia defensive line and the Michigan offensive line, like you guys have alluded to, because Michigan's rushing attack this season has been lethal. It's been just so dangerous, so good, so effective that, this is easily – and maybe some people will argue this. College football is not my strongest sport. So if people disagree with me on this statement, then I do apologize. But from my perspective, from what I have seen, I think this is the best Jim Harbaugh Michigan team he's ever had, in my opinion. And I think when you look at the way that it's been constructed, the way they execute, yes, they had that hiccup against Michigan State, but man, there's just something different about this Michigan team. And I give them all the credit in the world, because I think we look at all these previous games. You think of a down Ohio State team this season, and Michigan had them on the ropes. Previous Michigan teams would have lost that game. Then make it to the Big Ten championship game. I think previous Michigan teams would have lost that too. There's just something different mentally about this Michigan team. And I'm all about the mentality, which is why just barely here, I do kind of give an edge to Georgia in this game, because I think for Georgia, I think there's a motivation. We could think it's a joke. We could think it's blind faith, all we want. But I think there's a real motivation for this Georgia team to get back and to face and try to beat Alabama. And I think Kirby Smart wants it. And I think that's what's instilled in this team. I do agree with Thad. And, of course, I acquiesce to Thad because he is one of the QB gurus here on the network. I'm not overly impressed with Stetson Bennett, but I don't think this is the game where he could really screw this up. I don't foresee this being the game where he shouldn't lose them this game, at least early on. I don't think it's going to be a situation kind of what Thad's talking about. I don't see a scenario where he's going to lose them the game early and they have to think about pulling him. I don't think that's going to happen. I think Georgia's been good enough the whole year. Yes, of course, what happened to Alabama happened with Alabama. But I just think Georgia's still so good. That defense is just so supremely talented. If anyone can stop Michigan, I think it's either Georgia or Alabama, funny enough. One of two of the potential teams that they got to face to get to the national championship. So I do have Georgia winning this game, but by a razor thin margin. Because I think Michigan's defense is pretty good. Thad outlined it a little bit. I think Michigan's a pretty good defense as well. I think this will be a pretty close game. I could see it 27-24, 24-21, maybe 30. A 3-point game is essentially what I'm saying. No matter what the score ends up being, I think a 3-point game is what we should expect here. Because I think most would agree here. Everyone would agree. Of the two matchups, this is the one that's closest. That's why I don't blame Thad at all for picking Michigan to win this, or thinking that they have a real shot. And I'm the same way. I think Michigan could, but I just think Georgia, it's all about the mentality with them. And there's just, it's a vibe. Could I be wrong? Like I said, college football is my best sport, but I personally, I think Georgia takes this game here.
Yeah. I want to add one more thing. I think it's really going to be tough because, Bennett's going to keep it close. And on Georgia's side, they have a two-back system as well with Zamir White and Dalvin Cook's little brother, James Cook. And then they have that freshman tight end who's pretty much a stud. Their leader receiver, tight end and receiver are true freshmen. So they're in a good spot, but it's just going to be tough. I think Kirby, he's going with them. He's not going to pull them before the first half's over unless it's a blowout. So it's just going to be tough, and that's the only reason why I'm going with Michigan. If there was a different quarterback, I would be picking Georgia because they got studs everywhere. But yeah, that's all I got.
Yeah, I don't even think I made a decision. I just said your same scoreline, but I think, unfortunately, I think Georgia probably does, end up, pulling it out some way somehow. Again, just for I think all the things that Jerry said, but obviously, like, I think they're not overlooking Michigan, but their eyes are set. They want another chance, another opportunity against Alabama. And so, however that happens, with Stetson in, with Daniels in, however it may happen. But I also think, of course, out of the two matchups, like Jerry said, this is going to be the closer one. I also think it's going to be a lower scoring one. Like everybody scored prediction that no one's scoring over 30 points. So I definitely think it's going to be a defensive battle. I'm going to say one that's just one in the trenches, but I'm going with Georgia winning this one as well. So another Georgia-Alabama rematch. I don't know if everyone's looking forward to it, but, should be a good game. But that does it really for the college football segment. I don't know if there's anything that any of y'all want to add, any thoughts, any last minute, even on the last game that we just talked about, Alabama and Cincy, any last minute thoughts, predictions?
Really quick, just shout out to these two teams for keeping it together and keeping it COVID free because a lot of bowl games got canceled, and these guys, they stayed disciplined, did whatever they had to do to lock in for these 10 days. I know they were probably tempted to go out at least one time, but they did what they had to do, handle their business. And so shout out to them, the players and the coaches.
For sure.
All I'm gonna say is there's only my bad, Jelani. All I'm gonna say is that there's only like 4 or 5 of us at work tomorrow who's gonna be working tomorrow's New Year's Day show. So if we could have low scoring games, so my editing life isn't hell tomorrow, I would appreciate it. But no, like Thad said, the fact that these teams have made it this far, we're gonna have these games, which I think is the most important thing right now. Like that's just awesome.
Yeah. For sure. I was thinking about that throughout the week as well. I was like, we haven't heard nothing from the 2 or the 4 main teams that are going to be playing.
Michigan has one player, I think.
Yeah, but even then, that's great. Like I said, it's not affecting the entire team. It's not a game that's going to be canceled or postponed for sure. But like you said, definitely shout out to the coaches and programs for keeping all their players under wraps. But not sports related. Before we move on to our NFL segment, but I know JP just put in the chat. A lot of people were talking about it, but RIP Betty White, just before her 100th birthday in January. She did just pass one of the Golden Girls, and I don't really know her for the Golden Girls. I didn't really watch it, but I do know her for all her different roles in different comedies and other shows and stuff that I used to watch growing up. But that's one that we just never thought we would lose. Always appreciate her having her around, but definitely RIP Betty White, and also RIP John Madden. Me and Dad haven't done a show since his passing as well earlier in the week. Obviously, all Hall of Fame coach, Hall of Fame broadcaster, Hall of Fame, just person all the way around. We know him most, of course, for his games. We've been playing it since who knows how long, since 4 or 5 years old. But definitely, shout out to Madden. Rest in peace. Help his family. Keeping his family in prayers and everything. But any thoughts before we move on?
Now, like you said, shout out to John Madden. I play his game currently on my PS5. It's the only game I play besides Call of Duty at this moment because 2K is terrible. But shout out to him. Great, legendary broadcaster, coach, and just personality, the way he taught the game, in a way for people that didn't really understand football to get it easily. So, shout out to him for being a legend and setting the foundation.
Yeah, the sports world lost a giant with his passing. Not just the football world, the sports world. He's one of those guys who transcended his sport with how big he became, and really, he was great on the field because he ended up winning a Super Bowl, and he was just such a great coach. But I think he made an even bigger legacy off the field, and I think that's ultimately the goal. When we look at legends of the game, it's what their impact out of their sport is, and for off the field, and for the impact that John Madden had, man, like that said, he made it so that anyone could understand the game. Like that's not something that's easy to do. It's really not when you think about it. And he also set a standard for broadcasting. Like when a lot of people complain about some like the color commentators for football games, especially older people, well, think about it. They grew up on John Madden, man. Like ain't no one touching that. That's just a whole different level of greatness right there. So like, just RIP to one of the greatest in the important history of sports in and of itself. That the world, the sports world collectively mourned that day, and I think every outlet that spoke about it, I think they did a great job, giving a good story of his life, because that dude was special.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. So RIP Betty White, RIP John Madden. Hope you guys rest in peace and keep, of course, like I said, keeping their families in our prayers. But moving on, we're gonna talk about our NFL segment. Our NFL segment. Before we get into it, we always show our guy Jeff from Jeff Needs Sports some love. Showing his power rankings. We always show last week and this week. So week 15 is on the left, or my fault. Week 16 is on the left. Week 17 is on the right. Good amount of movement. Packers now, secure the number 1 spot. Bucks have moved down to 5th after, not being able to put up a single point against a Saints team. Playing with a tight end as a quarterback, and just not being able to. I know obviously a lot of people went down that game, but not being able to put any type of points up against the Saints. Even though they have a great defense, definitely see why he moved down to 5. I think we talked about it a little bit, but the 6-7, I know Walker had a fit about it probably. But everything else, I think I agree with. That so close range, pretty much it makes sense, because a lot of these teams obviously are still, especially the AFC, are in the playoff hunt. Could be a little bit of movement here and there, but all these teams are pretty much either spot secured or they're in the hunt. But yeah, any thoughts, any changes, teams that feel like you should be higher, lower?
I like this. I really did like this one. The Jaguars are 32. I love that. The Packers and Chiefs, I've been saying over the past at least 7 weeks for sure for the Chiefs, but I feel like the Packers have been one of the best teams all season. Not having key players on defense and just being leading the pack pretty much the whole season. What else? I don't like the Cowboys at 4. I don't think they're better than the Bucks. With the injuries, I can understand it, but I'm not really the biggest fan of the Cowboys. And then I like the Bengals at 9. The Pats are, struggling right now, as well as the Cardinals, but I would put the Cardinals over the Pats. But other than that, great list. I don't really have a problem with that. I like to see the Ravens. They're so hampered by injuries. It's kind of tough for them too. But great power rankings overall, and hopefully the Jaguars can get it together one year. We'll see.
Problems with it? Honestly, I'm a big fan of. I always push Jeff's power rankings because I will forever say that they are the best football power rankings out there. I may not be allowed to contractually say that, but I'm going to say it anyways. But no, I look at the list and I'm really on that side. I think you look at, but first off, can we give Jeff credit for the way he labels these things every week and how amazing it is?
Yeah, I love the names. Yeah,
the counting the minutes section is so good and so on point for all those organizations, but we're going to ignore them. Desperate, the thing is, and this is why I say this, because I think if you just look at the way that Jeff labels it, I think every single team that's in their section, it's exactly on point with what they are. All those teams that are locked in week 17 are locked in for the most part. Even though not all the playoff spots are set in the AFC is a jumbled mess to say the least. But the Colts, the Titans, and the Bills, we've all seen them bounce back recently. We've all seen them have good games recently. And the Colts, especially with the run they've been on with Jonathan Taylor. You look at the so close section, the Bengals are the definition of that team this season. So close, because they've had great performances like their games against the Ravens and that blowout they had against the Chargers, but then they have those disappointing games against other teams where they don't show up. They lose it at the last second, like to San Fran. They lose to the Jets, albeit you lost to a future Hall of Famer, so I can't really blame you on that. The Patriots, to me, I think, maybe you could argue putting them above, but considering they just lost, when you compare from the previous rankings to this one, it makes sense with the game that they lost. Yeah, man. I think the most realistic one, well, let me not say realistic, but I think if we're talking about teams that exemplify the category they're in, the Ravens and Vikings are that. Because the Ravens are starting to sweat a little bit here, boys, because Lamar Jackson, I had to cut some Lamar Jackson injury tape at work, and he was limping at practice on Wednesday. And I wouldn't, and I don't know I forget what the news was today, but I'm pretty sure his status is still very much in doubt. We will have no idea if Lamar Jackson is going to play probably until close to the game, even though that's not how it works technically with the injury rules. I don't think we're really going to know what his status is going to be up until like hours before the game. I really don't. And the Minnesota Vikings, with the Kirk Cousins news that came out today,
that's tough.
That killed it, because let's be real here. Like Kellen Mond, if he does perform, that'd be awesome. Like that would just be entertaining if the rookie just comes in and he just goes throw for throw with Aaron Rodgers. But man, that like what a way to lose the season if you're the Minnesota Vikings. It's almost like the heartbreak of if you lost the game by missing the field goal at the very end. But that's never happened. Oh wait, no, it has. Never mind. Okay, so maybe Vikings fans are used to this kind of pain actually at the end of the day. But no, like just Jeff's power rankings are accurate. I think they're all right there. I will say, Jelani, shout out for you. The Falcons being in desperation mode at this point, I wouldn't have predicted that going into the season. So, no, straight up, the fact that they are in that position right now, like, they deserve some credit for that.
It feels good. It sounds crazy, but it feels good to be at 19. Matt Ryan, he's been saying it every week. He's literally, like, I think it's been the last 3-4 weeks. He was like, it feels good to be playing meaningful football in December. Like, it's been the same thing he said each and every weekend. Luckily, it's real slim chance, real slim pickings that we're going to, secure a 7th spot. But to at least even be in the conversation, I think we're like 10th right now in the NFC. That feels good in itself, and having won 3 more games than we did last year. So definitely shout out to Jeff too for getting us that 19. Hopefully somehow, some way we get into the so close category, but we only got 2 more weeks, so never know. Or this week and the next week, yeah. So, but shout out to Jeff again for his power rankings. Appreciate you for all your work that you put into these, because we know it's difficult, each and every week figuring out where to place these teams. But before we move on, talk about some of the games, some of our picks. Jerry, I know you don't have you're not in the Pick Ems challenge, but of course you're definitely welcome to go along and help us pick and figure out what teams are going to win this week, because it's very, very important. But last 2 weeks, I haven't done as well. I think Dad beat me both weeks. He went 12-4 both weeks. I went 10-6 one week and then 11-5 this past week. So I went from a 6-game lead to a 3-game lead, and now we're down to 2 weeks. So very, very close. I know these next 2 weeks I know we're gonna be probably battling, picking some teams just to see if I can extend a lead, or if you can make up some games. But definitely it's come down to the end, and one of us will be having to face a pretty bad punishment. But week 17, these are the games that we have on full game of slate on Sunday, and then of course the Monday game. Everybody can see these, all right?
Yeah.
All right, cool. It's kind of small on my end, but just wanted to make sure. But for some reason, my Falcons are first. Atlanta versus Buffalo. We're going up to a very cold, snowy place. My heart wants to go with one team, but for the sake of the Pick Ems, I can't do it. So we're going to go with Buffalo this week. And again, this is just like I forgot what week it was. I think it was when we played the Saints. I was like, if I lose in the Pick Ems, because I picked wrong, but we win the game, I win-win. It's a win-win situation for me. So I'm gonna go with Buffalo. New England's right there for the divisional spot, and obviously their playoff spots on the line as well. And I just don't trust us going up and playing well in the cold. So I'm going with Buffalo. Dad, who you got?
Yeah, I'm gonna keep it short and sweet, especially if it snows. Matt Ryan's a good quarterback. I like him. I appreciate him, unlike Falcons fans. But his arm's not the strongest, and in those conditions, Buffalo would just thrive and take over. So I'm gonna take Buffalo by 14.
Wow, 14.
Dang.
That's
yeah.
I'm not saying that.
No Calvin Ridley, veteran secondary. It's not going to be. Then Kyle Pitts a matchup nightmare, but Micah Hyde or Poyer will guard him, so we'll see.
By the way, with the Bills, we actually had this conversation during some downtime at work. But Jordan Poyer and Micah Hyde are going to be playing this game really mad. Like these next couple of games, really mad, considering neither of them made it to the Pro Bowl. And those are two of the most talented safeties in the league. And the fact that neither made it to the Pro Bowl this season is pretty wild. Yeah, I'm not going to deliberate too. Funny enough, podcasts I do separately from the network, we actually do weekly NFL picks. And must I say, I'm impressed by the fact that you guys are winning 12-11 or 12-10 in your weeks. Some of the weeks I've won, boys, I've only won with 8 or 9 games. So just goes to show how good.
Oh no, we had a treacherous span of weeks. I don't know if we was doing shows, but it was it was 3-4, probably 3 weeks in a row. We were coming under 500 for sure. But
right. It's crazy with the NFL sometimes. So I'll translate the picks that I made for here. So I did pick Buffalo. I'm sorry, Jelani, but I did pick Buffalo to win this. I just think like kind of the same what I was talking about before with like Georgia and Michigan with like just mindset. It's like Buffalo needs to have the mentality now that like they could still take back the AFC East here fully. Like they just got that win against the Pats, man. Like within recent weeks, you gotta go for it. You gotta go for the throat. So go for the kill, go for it all here, and they get Atlanta. I don't think it'll be super easy because like Thad mentioned, like Kyle Pitts, he's shown it this year. He's a very special tight end, but I think Buffalo has more than enough to win this game.
Yeah, easily. We'll go with a sweep, but it's fine because we pull out the win. I'm perfectly okay with it. Giant Chicago. Like I said, we got a few stinkers this week, but Giant Chicago. This is probably one of those stinkers. Sorry, Bars. Sorry, Perez, and whoever else is a Giants fan on the network. But I'm gonna go with Chicago. I don't even know who the Giants quarterback is at this point. Is it still Mike Glennon? Oh no, they're gonna start other Georgia boy. Forgot.
If they start Fromm again, yeah, I'm sorry, we're gonna.
Yeah, they're gonna start Fromm again. Yeah, so I don't know. It's obviously picking the two, lesser of the two evils, but I'm gonna go with Chicago, another team that's a dumpster fire. But I just typically in these situations I go with the home team, so I'm gonna go with the Chicago Bears. Hopefully Justin Fields has them today, and they pull out the win. Who you got, Dan?
Yeah, Justin Fields has sat out a little bit, trying to stay fully healthy, not hurt himself in a non-meaningful season. So I'm gonna go Chicago.
Foles did play last week.
Yeah, and if Foles played, he plays good for every team besides the Jaguars.
And he wins.
Yeah. A lot. I don't know why, but Jake Fromm did not look good last week against the Eagles. I watched a good bit of that game, so I have to go Chicago. Like I know I want to be different for the sake of the picks and try to catch up, but I cannot pick the Giants with Jake Fromm or Mike Glennon.
Fair, very, very fair. I'm also going to go with Chicago, and also for the simple fact that the Giants have the Bears' first-round pick, and a win here for Chicago makes that trade hurt just slightly less, even though it technically got you Fields. Shout out to Justin Fields; he'll be getting a new head coach and GM here within the next couple of weeks, hopefully for him.
Yeah.
But I'm going to go with the Bears here, just because just for themselves, they have to win this. Like you gave them your first-round pick. I really wish we had a stat of like knowing how often it was. It's like if you trade your first round pick to another team and you face them that same season. Like I wish there was a stat like that off the top of my head that I knew, and that's what makes this interesting. But I'll run with the Bears here.
Sure. And Kansas City, Cincinnati should be a pretty good matchup, but Kansas City is on that role that we typically see from them. Their defense got together. And the offense we knew would pick up steam at some point, and they're looking in perfect stride for midseason form. They look like they're the playoff team that we're used to seeing. So I'm gonna go Kansas City. I think it'll still be a tough matchup with them going on the road playing a Cincy team. Like I said, Jerry said it perfectly. They're in close range. They're so up and down. They have great performances against good teams and then stinkers against bad teams sometimes. So it could be one of those performances, Joe Burrow, and the three outside weapons that they got in Boyd, Higgins, and Chase, one of those games where they just go off. So, but I'm still gonna go with Kansas City in this one. Thad, who you got?
I want to go Cincy. I could honestly see them breaking the streak, but Kansas City's just high powered right now, and I know Cincy defense is okay. Trey Hendrickson's been a good pickup from the Saints, but I think they're gonna get Kelsey back this week. They should, because he was about to play last week. But, all the weapons they have on offense, they got Hartman involved last week. Allaire looks pretty decent. They're just good all around right now. Melvin Ingram getting picked up in the trade. They finally moved Chris Jones back inside. It's just been good moves all around. They've been playing some high-quality football on both sides of the ball. So, I stuck with them when they were down bad earlier this season, so I'm not going to pick against them, honestly. I don't think I've ever picked against them except for once. But I'm going Kansas City in a close one by 3. I think this might be a shootout because have they seen a young receiving core like this? I know they saw the Chargers, but we shall see. T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd, and Jamar Chase and Joe Mixon. And C.J. Uzomah at tight end. That's a pretty good receiving core. So we'll see.
Yeah, I'm kind of with Thad here, where it's like I think this could end up being a shootout because the Bengals. I mean, one bright side about being such an up and down team as they have been is that by by the law of averages, they should have a good game here against Kansas City, or at least pretty good for the most part. But I will pick Kansas City to win this at the end of the day, just because Mahomes versus Burrow. If I have to pick someone with the game on the line, I'm going to go with Mahomes. No disrespect to Joe Burrow, he's been amazing this season, but it's Patrick Mahomes. But I will say this: I wouldn't be surprised if the Bengals do give a challenge, because Fab pointed it out right there. The young offensive skill position talent on this Bengals team, like next season when ESPN and Fox and OTBN, when we do like our skill position rankings and stuff, if the Bengals are not up there, we're gonna have to start asking some questions, because the talent that this team has, I think it was slept on going into the season. They can't be slept on anymore, because Jamar Chase is a stud. Tyler Boyd is great. You have T. Higgins. Like, imagine Higgins or Boyd getting to be your number 3. That's amazing right there.
That's ridiculous.
I think the Bengals can definitely keep this one close, but I am just going to give it to Casey at the end. And Thad, I'm with you. I pick the Chiefs every single week this season, so I ain't changing now.
Got to.
Yeah. What I was about to say, if y'all see me down here, I gotta write them down, because sometimes I be forgetting what teams I say, what teams Thad says. I always write down Thad's teams, but sometimes I forget mine. But Miami, Tennessee, I've been doing that the last few weeks, though. I'm like, oh shit, let me go back, because sometimes it'll skip over a week. So I'm like, oh yeah, let me go back and see real quick, or I just go back and listen. But Miami, Tennessee, this is actually a pretty good game, pretty good matchup, and definitely a lot of playoff implications on the line. I think Miami right now does have the 7th spot in the AFC. And Tennessee, obviously, they had their comp. Well, no, forgot. They're in the wild card spot too, because isn't Indy now?
No, Tennessee's still in control.
One more game. Okay. Oh yeah, because they won both games against them. Yeah. So I don't know. This one is tough. I'm gonna go Miami. I'm gonna go Miami. I know the teams that they've played and beat on this streak aren't the greatest, but you play who's in front of you, and I think that has instilled a little bit of confidence. Tua's been playing a little bit better. Obviously Jalen Waddle is there and back, and the run game has gotten a little bit of a push with Philip Lindsay coming in, Duke Johnson coming in. A little bit of change of pace with Gaskin as well. So I don't know. I just think they've been playing well, like I said, albeit against very bad teams. I think that confidence carries over, and they know that their season's on the line pretty much with this game right here. So I'm going Miami. We got that.
If you would have picked Tennessee, I would have went Miami, but now I'm definitely going Tennessee. They showed me something in AJ Brown's first game back. They started off slow, but he came up big at the end of the game versus San Fran. And I honestly like Miami, because even though they haven't been playing teams, they can match up well. They had Byron Jones and Xavier Howard on the outside, and then that the pressure they're bringing. And Tannehill's not the best against pressure. They don't have Derrick Henry, so they don't have to respect the box. They could leave 6 and 7-man boxes and defend the pass. But I think Tennessee at home, they play well at home. Their defense will make some plays. Tua, he's not the best under pressure, but he's very accurate when you give him time in a clean pocket for the most part. So. I understand that, but I'm going to go Tennessee in a close one by 3.
I need you to understand how painful it is for me to have to make this pick, but I will be picking the Titans to win this game. Yeah, I'll pick them to win this game. Miami, it's not even so much like the teams that they beat during the winning streak. It's just I feel like at some point, the bus stops somewhere, and I think this would be where it would stop. Tennessee, going back to last season, I remember one of my big criticisms about them last year was that they just couldn't rush the quarterback for anything. They just couldn't. And this season, they've gotten a lot more pass rush production from their guys. A couple of their young guys have had some bounce back seasons from themselves that I've been extremely impressed by. And I think that, kind of at Thad's point, when Tua has a clean pocket, he can perform pretty well. I think Tennessee will be able to get to him a little bit. And AJ Brown is just game one. He showed it. He's different, man. He's just extremely different. Yeah. And the thing with the Dolphins is that, even though Jones and Howard are great, I forget which one of them it is, but Pro Football Focus doesn't rank one of them as highly as you would think they are, considering their salary and the perception around the league. Now, I know for some people,
Howard,
it's it's a very fine line between what you listen with Pro Football Focus and what you don't. And I think grading the DBs is a little bit harder than grading the other positions, but. I don't know, sometimes the Dolphins defense, I know they've been impressive as of late, man, but I still think back to that 1-7 start. It's there were some good teams that just dog walked them. And AJ Brown, he by himself, we literally saw him win that San Francisco game by himself, and he could do that here too. So give me Tennessee in this one.
easily. Yeah, it's definitely a toss up, but hopefully I come out on top in the big ones. But honestly, I really don't care. Well, if Miami does win, I do want to see the type of excuses Walker does come up with this week. But Las Vegas, Indianapolis. I'm gonna let you go first, Dad.
I gotta stick with the hot team. Indy's been playing well. They're division foe, so I watched a lot of their games, and they're just, they're dominant. Carson Wentz showed last week he can make plays, timely plays when needed, and Jonathan Taylor in that offensive line is pretty much unstoppable. Ryan Kelly, Quentin Nelson, and the rest of the guys, Braden Smith, they just, they show up. On the defense side of the ball, hopefully Darius Leonard can get back because of COVID, but they showed last week they can, one man doesn't stop what they got going with their system. Las Vegas, honestly, we've counted them out a lot, and they've won the games that they needed to win. They haven't been the best opponents, but they've won the games, and they're still in the race. So I can see this being a close one, but I'm going to go Indy by 3. I'm going to say 27-24.
Yeah, that is true. I'm gonna still go Indy as well because they are the hotter team. Jonathan Taylor's been playing out of his mind, and they just been, like I said, they started to put together obviously a good stretch of wins from their start of the season, but the start of the season they did play a lot of the better teams of the NFL. But Vegas, I always say with them, like they actually I mean sort of kind of in a certain way they've proven me a little bit wrong this year. But the last few years I've been saying like after week 8 or 9 you don't have to worry about them anymore. And like I said, this year they've actually performed and played and won a lot of close games and a lot of games that's necessary for them to be in the spot they're in. At the end of the year, possibly, vying for a playoff spot. I think they right now are 6, I want to say. I have the graphic after this, but I know they're in the playoff picture, and I think right now they're locked in either 6 or 7. Oh no, Miami 7, so I think they're 6. But all in all, they're in a good spot, but I still don't think they win this game. I would go with Indy. Jared, who you have?
Same with you boys, Indy. I respect Derek Carr a lot. The fact that this team is even in this position, I think it speaks to, of course, it's not just him, but I think Derek Carr has been such a vital point of the team this season and how good that they have played to where, like, if they do win these last 2 games, like, can we put him in the MVP discussion? I'm not saying he's got to win, but can we just put him in the MVP discussion, man? Because the fact he took this team where it's like I feel like almost everyone had them finishing towards the bottom of that division going into the season. So the fact that they're at this point, give them all the credit in the world. But yeah, even if Carson Wentz doesn't play for Indianapolis, I don't think this is the game where they're really going to miss him. I think Jonathan Taylor can run over most defenses in the NFL. I think this is just going to be another one. So I got the Colts.
Next one, I'm pretty sure we're all it's probably gonna be 30 seconds. I'm going New England.
Oh yeah. We can't even be. We've had so many winnable. I'm gonna be as quick as I can. It's not gonna take that long. But like, we had the Falcons, we had the Texans, and the Jets over the last 6 weeks, and I'm going into them thinking, we're gonna finally beat an opponent that's on the same level as us, and we just can't. We can't win games. We found a way to lose last week against the Jets, where Trevor Lawrence played well, but his teammates just didn't help him out on the offense side of the ball. So New England, Bill Belichick versus rookie quarterbacks and young quarterbacks doesn't usually go well. They're going to show him looks he's never seen before, and it's going to be a long day. But I like that if he can show some strides and, play well, that's all I'm really looking for at this point. And we lost James Robinson, so we're going to have to try to find some type of way to establish the run game. But New England by 17.
Fair point. I think you brought up the best point right there, Thad, is that Bill Belichick just eats up rookie quarterbacks. And poor Trevor Lawrence, man, this rookie season he's been having and winding down. He's got to face Bill Belichick in the second to last week. Someone had it out for Trevor Lawrence when they made the schedule. I'm putting that out there right now. But at the end of it, yeah, let's just move on. I'm going with the Patriots here.
Yeah, I can see that, Jerry. They're like, oh, you've only won. I mean, you've only lost what, 2 times, 3 times coming into your NFL career. Yeah, that's not going down. So it's been a rough one. I know he's gonna be happy. Those minutes counting down. Shout out to Jeff again. He's gonna go on a pretty long vacation after the year's over with. So shout out to Trevor Lawrence and Jacksonville Jaguars. But yeah, can't go with you this week. Carolina, New Orleans. 2 divisional foes that are on downward trends. Obviously, New Orleans has the better chance of making the playoffs. I'm just gonna go with them based off that strength alone. But Ian Book did not look at all last week. I don't know if he's going to be the starter this week or if they're able to get Taysom Hill back in. I don't know if he was on safety protocols or not last week. I honestly can't remember, but yeah, they're at home, and that's the only reason I'm really going to go with them. And their defense, obviously, they just have the better overall team and better overall players in positions that could get them win. Obviously, Alvin Kamara can go off. Cameron Jordan at deep line is pretty good as well. So New Orleans. I don't really care much about the score, but they'll win. What about you, Thad? Who you got?
I got Carolina. Like you said, Ian Book didn't look good last week. Taysom Hill might not be back. Hopefully he doesn't come back. And, as bad as Carolina's been, they'll finally get it together. Phil Snow on defense, he shows some exotic looks. And if Ian Book plays, that'll mess with his head and his reads and speed him up a little bit too much. So I'm going to go Carolina in the upset, and a slight upset because they look terrible.
They look god awful. Damn, and it pains me because Cam, we know the reality of it though.
Yeah,
it was all a gimmick the entire time by Tepper.
Yeah,
I'm gonna run with Carolina just because division games are weird, man. Like, just this is just one of those games where it feels like Carolina could win it. I think I saw something that said Taysom Hill is off of the COVID list now. I think that most likely means he's going to start.
Yeah.
But who knows? This season's just so weird at this point. Ian Book, I really kind of feel bad because I don't think he was in a great position in that first start. I'm not here like advocating for the guy for like anything long term, but I'm just saying like I don't think he had a good set of circumstances there. I am going to go with Carolina at the end. Like this just feels like a random game. Matt Rule, a lot of people are saying he may need to coach for his job here. This could be the win that essentially gives him job security going into year 3. So that's what I think. I think, hey, gentlemen, I think we know this. There is nothing more desperate than a man trying to keep his job. So
yeah, that is true. And it's that. I mean, overall, it's I don't know. Carolina it just hasn't gone their way. I honestly don't think Joe Brady should have been let go. Matt Rule, I feel like shouldn't really get let go either after this year. It's just been a tough year all around for a lot of squads, especially them. Like, I don't know if Sam Darnold was the right choice in the beginning anyway. I mean, he did look good those first 3-4 weeks, but, CMC can never stay healthy. A lot of people, in and out of lineup, and obviously lose your starting quarterback. You make shift. You have to, bring in Cam and other people. So I don't know. I just don't think, I think alone by like the amount of talent and the defense that he's put together these last 2 years, I think of that alone, he really should be able to keep his job. It's kind of sad because like they do have a lot of pieces, a lot of especially for the future. Like, the cornerback room is pretty nice. They have a great linebacking core and a nice front four as well. So I don't know. I don't know why it really just hasn't clicked for them. I'm just gonna blame it, possibly on the offense as a whole not being able to score, and obviously CMC not being able to stay healthy. But I don't think he should be fired. But who knows? It's that pressure. More than likely, it could happen, possibly happen. Like you said, he may be coaching for his job. So definitely could see Carolina winning. But last few ones, I know we're probably gonna go speed round because I do want to get into the best and worst sports moments of 2021, and the game comes on about 15 to 20 minutes. So I'm gonna keep all mine quick. Tampa Bay Jets. Tampa. That or you got?
Yeah. 2 teams on 2 totally different levels. So I'm going Tampa.
Keep it moving, Tampa.
This is the one. Like, actually, I'm sorry. Like, last week, I forgot what game we said. It might have been a Tampa game. It was a game that we moved on so quick from, and they actually Arizona and Detroit. It was like Arizona and just kept going. And Detroit, that was 2 weeks ago. But Detroit, yeah, it was pretty bad. That was 2 weeks ago. But yeah, it typically, and we've done this a few other times too. When we move by games, that team ends up losing. So
if Mike White is not starting this game. If Mike White ain't starting this game for the Jets, we ain't got nothing to worry about, boys.
Okay. Yep, Jurg said it, so I'm gonna believe it. So Philly, Washington, Washington's just sorry. Sorry, shout out to the Washington football guys, but yeah, can't do it this week. Philly, we got that.
I gotta be different. I'm gonna go Washington. Divisional game, anything can happen. Heineke did not look the best last week, so I got my boy getting it together. I know Slade's had an all-pro season, but I'm going to go Washington.
Yeah. I got to run with Philly here. Like, all due respect to our guys, Couch Coach and Cruz, but I'm highly disappointed in Washington this season, man. I had a lot of faith in them coming in, and they disappointed me so much this year. So I got to go with Philly.
Yeah, they've definitely been shit in the bucket. I should have went with Washington though, because if they beat Philly, then we somehow figure out how to beat Buffalo, we have increased our chances to be in the postseason. Denver Chargers. I'm gonna go Chargers on this one.
Yeah, it's going to be a good game. Denver is not an easy opponent, but the Chargers need this win, so I'm going to go Chargers. And Justin Herbert is Justin Herbert. So
I think the story of this game will be, can the Denver Broncos defense keep it as close as possible for that joke they call an offense to try to make it a game? I think this Broncos defense has been very good at times, and can they do it to Justin Herbert? Who knows? One game scenario. I think the story of this is the divisional games are just weird. I think the Chargers will win. That is my pick, but don't be surprised if the game is close, because that Broncos defense. Could you imagine if they had a quarterback?
yeah, I think about it all the time, and the offensive weapons they had, like Fant, Judy, all those guys.
It's wild.
Bad. But yeah, Justin Herbert had one of his worst games of the season versus the Broncos last time they played. So I think he'll bounce back.
Yeah.
Houston, San Francisco, San Fran. You got that.
Yeah, San Fran, whether Trey Lance plays or not. I think this is a good game for them to put him in. But Jimmy G, he's not trying to come out. He's not trying to lose that spot. If Trey Lance wins a couple of games and wins a playoff game, he already knows what it is. So San Fran.
Yeah, let's get a big time W here for Trey Lance. I like Trey Lance. I think the jury's still out on him, obviously. So I feel, to that's one, this is a great team, to put him against. Why not face a minor league team for your first career start when you're a rookie quarterback? So let's go with San Francisco over here. Kyle Shanahan's going to make sure that boy, he does all the right things. So
for sure. I don't know why. Oh, Arizona Dallas. I don't know why I couldn't see the name at first, but Arizona Dallas. I mean, this one should be a lot. Except the last two we sped through because they were terrible matches, but this should be a pretty good game. Arizona definitely kind of needs to show that they're one of the top tier teams that we may have thought they were throughout the year, and I think Dallas is a pretty good measuring stick. Them coming off a 56-14 blowout win against Washington football team, albeit it's the Washington football team, but they're starting to look a little bit better. Dak looked a lot better last week than he has in the previous week. So I'm going to go with Dallas. They're at home. They're rolling. I'll go with Dallas. We got that.
I might change this up, but for now, I'm going to go with Arizona. College never lost in Texas, including high school. So, we'll see. I think, teams, they do this every year, which is not a good sign for Cliff Kingsbury. They always go in a slump, to end the season. But I think they get it together at some point. It comes this week. Kyler's back in his hometown along with Christian Kirk. And I think they'll play well. They'll bounce back. They won't make the turnovers they usually have in the past. And they'll give Dallas, a run for their money. Because before the Washington football team game, Dallas had not looked that good, especially on offense. So, and then Kyler, let's see. Michael Parsons is very good, but Kyler's a different animal. Have they played a quarterback that can get out the pocket and extend plays like Kyler? So I'm going to go with Arizona.
That's a fair point right there. Amazing stat, by the way. I didn't even know that he had never lost in Texas, so that's pretty wild. I am going to go with Dallas here just because I think, to your point, that like the skidding of Arizona combined with Dallas and their recent performance, like it's kind of a perfect meeting. Then again, it's also a perfect meeting where those things can flip-flop, but I'm going to run with the fact that they should continue this way. I don't think it'll be a blowout by any stretch, but I think Dallas will do enough here. I think they have the defensive pieces to hold off what should be hopefully a Kyler Murray onslaught if you're the Cardinals. Because even if you lose this game, if you're Arizona, if you lose like 31-28, 34-31, something like that, it at least gives you confidence going into the final weeks here that like, okay, we're kind of getting back on track, right?
Yeah.
Like if they lose this game badly, like by like 10 points, you got to start sweating if you're a Cardinals fan going into the playoffs. But I hope that they don't lose big. So, but I will be going with Dallas here with the victory. But it'll be a close game.
Yeah. Detroit, Seattle. I don't know. I'm gonna go with Seattle. I don't want to. I don't know. I don't want to slight Russell like that. But he's out of there after this year. But Seattle, who y'all got?
Yeah, Seattle's mad. They had a bad loss to Chicago last week. They had the game. Chicago went for 2 and won it. So I'm going Seattle. They're upset. I know Detroit's going to play quality football, but if Goff doesn't play, he struggles in Seattle. Backup's not winning up there.
Fair point. This is the final home game of the season for the Seahawks, meaning this could be the final home game of Russell Wilson's Seattle Seahawks career and the final home game of Pete Carroll's coaching career. because who knows, he's likely out of there after the season, you got to believe. So, because I don't think he's going to stick around for rebuild. So I'll say, let's end this off with a positive note for Seattle. I'm going to run it with a Seahawks victory. One last victory for Pete Carroll and Russell Wilson in Seattle.
One last hurrah for sure. Rams, Baltimore, got to go at Rams. Especially, well, I mean, they've been playing pretty good football as well. And obviously Baltimore has dealt with an onslaught of injuries. And like Jurg said at the beginning of the show, Lamar's not looking that great, and we don't know if he's going to play or not. So Rams, you got that.
I got to go Rams too. Tyler Huntley looks like he's going to play, but I just don't. They have so many injuries. Jared Goff looks shakish on the road, not too good on the road. He's had some bad moments, but good moments. But I just think overall the Rams are the better team, and they'll take advantage. But, Baltimore's no joke at home because they did the same thing. Without any corners, they held, it came down to a 2-point conversion when they played Green Bay. So, we'll see. But I'm going to LA.
I'm going to go with the Rams here because it's funny. I actually think for Baltimore, I know this might sound crazy, but I think the better winning chance for them is if Huntley starts this game. Because if Lamar Jackson, from what I've seen, again, I'm just basing off of what I've seen, and I've literally seen it. If Lamar Jackson's going to be limping, that makes it easier for Von Miller, Leonard Floyd, and Aaron Donald to just wreck that offensive line and get to him. It might actually be better if Huntley, who is healthy at least and mobile, if he could at least scurry away from them. So I actually think that it's better for Baltimore if Huntley starts this game, at least from the mobility perspective from QB. But I'm going with the Rams to win this. Like they're just perfect set of circumstances. That defense is great. That their starter is injured. Like, come on now.
Yeah, exactly. Minnesota, Green Bay. I'm going with Green Bay, of course. Nice in the coffin. It's been Kirk Cousins not playing, but who knows? Even if you would have played, would have probably been close, but still don't think they would have put out the win. So I'm gonna go Green Bay. We got that.
Yeah, I'm going Green Bay, and I saw word that Sean Mannion's starting over Kellen Mond, so that's not a good thing for him, Kellen Mond, and his future. But Green Bay by a lot. Minnesota's an interesting team. With Kirk Cousins, I give him a shot, but without Kirk Cousins, no shot.
Yeah, the news didn't affect my decision. I'm going Green Bay here no matter what. Aaron Rodgers is going to put one final nail in the coffin on the Minnesota Vikings for his Green Bay Packers career because Green Bay doesn't deserve to keep him. But that's a discussion for another day. But I got Green Bay taking this W here and getting one step closer to clinching the number one seed in the NFC.
And last one, Monday Night Football, Cleveland, Pittsburgh. I'm going to go Pitt. I went Pitt last week, I think. I don't remember. But I'm going to go Pitt this week. I don't know. I'm not a Cleveland guy. I'm not a Baker Mayfield guy. I know a lot of us really aren't. A few of us on the network are, but a lot of us aren't. We got that.
I got to go Pittsburgh for a lot of reasons. Cleveland's a really good team. They showed a lot of – if they had a better quarterback, they would have won last week. They completely outplayed Green Bay. But last year, Pittsburgh had a sour taste in their mouth. They ended their season. They blew them out in the playoffs. This is Big Ben's final home game, and he's not going to lose this game. So I'm going with Pittsburgh.
It's funny that, Thad mentioning that it's Big Ben's final home game and it's being on Monday Night Football is the exact reason why I'm picking the Cleveland Browns, because the What the Game Means to Me podcast, the last letter in that name is the letter E. This pod is rated E for everyone. I will not say the usual words that I say when it comes to my discussion of Ben Roethlisberger and the Pittsburgh Steelers. Keep the show kid-friendly. But I will say this. I don't like the Steelers. I don't like Ben Roethlisberger. This is a pure spite pick. I'm going with the Cleveland Browns here. I don't even care for Baker Mayfield. Like I actually have a prediction of where Baker Mayfield's going to go after the season that I think is going to be really funny. But again, show for another time. But I got the Cleveland Browns winning. It's just out of spite.
I would say drop it. I kind of want to know where you think he's going to go.
For jokes, this is pure jokes. I think it'd be amazing if Aaron Rodgers leaves the Packers. If the Packers organization is like, you know what? Let's take a chance on Baker Mayfield. Tell me not. Would that not be hilarious? Like, you cannot tell me that's not funny.
Devontae would not resign.
Yeah, I was about to say Devontae's out of there too with the quickness. Like if he even hears rumblings of that would be disgusting. Oh my gosh, Baker in Green Bay. I don't know.
Devontae's smart, man. He's waiting on Aaron Rodgers because a lot of people forget Devontae Adams before like his third season in the league, his first 2 years, and I know you guys remember this. People were making memes. The memes that we make about Nelson Aguilar and him dropping passes, we made the same exact jokes about Devontae Adams his first 2 years in the league. He was not that great of a wide receiver when he first came into the NFL. And yes, he got better. Yes, he developed. He deserves the credit for that. but having Aaron Rodgers helps. So I think Devontae Adams knows, like, yo, this guy helps make me so good. I'm gonna wait to see where he goes, and I'm going there. And that's just that's A1 right there. That's player power right there.
Yeah, it's gonna be Tom Brady Gronk 2.0. Like, wherever you go, come on with me. So, but I think that wraps it up for this week. Me and Thad had a few differences. Typically, we always have around 4 or 5. It sways one way or sways the other way, but we're gonna see. It's coming down to the end. One more week. But yeah, we're gonna see. But last thing before we head out of here, of course, like I said, we got to talk all things Alabama, Cincy, and Georgia, Michigan, and of course hit on our NFL pick'ems for the week. But it is the last show of 2021, last day of 2021. So just real quick, guys, just wanted to go through maybe some best or worst sports moments of 2021 that we got to experience, and just talk on. Like, of course, like with me, I was telling Thad, seeing the Hawks little playoff run, gave me some hope. Obviously, we're struggling right now. Literally, our whole team's in protocol besides Cam Reddish and Trae Young. But just seeing the young talent that we were able to recuperate together, if Trae didn't get hurt, possibly I feel like we would have been in the NBA Finals. Not saying we would have won, but for sure feel like we would have been in the NBA Finals if he didn't get hurt. But just seeing that young talent that we put together. Obviously, the Braves winning a World Series, bringing it back home. I'm a Mets fan, of course. Me and Bar, the Mets fans on the network. But anytime we miss the playoffs, which has been the last 2-3 years, I always got to become a Braves fan because that's the hometown, that's the city that we grew up in, and them bringing home a championship. Just seeing that run that they were able to put together, and the mid-season trade that they were able to put together in order for that team to even come alive, it was incredible. So probably one of the better trade deadlines probably in recent MLB history. But those two things for sure. Outside of that, I did have another one. Bad's probably going to talk about it, but our guy Flag winning, a NCAA basketball championship and keeping the Zags from having a perfect season. But a lot of good moments to go around. Also, one big thing I did want to throw out too, like the mental health awareness that a lot of athletes displayed this year. Simone Biles in the Olympics, of course. I think Lane Johnson for the Eagles stepped away from the team as well. So a lot of people, in the sports world now, making it aware, overall that everyone should, look out for their mental health. Everybody, they're athletes, they're professionals, they play at the highest level, but they're people at the end of the day. So definitely the things that I took notice this year, and some of the best moments I felt, as a sports watcher and just as a person overall. But Thad, what you got?
I'm pretty much going to keep it the same. For me, the Braves for sure. The season they had after the letdown the last year, blowing a 3-1 lead, and this year being 500, pretty much mediocre the whole season till Cunha got hurt, and we made those moves for the 3 outfielders, and they end up, all paying off in the playoffs. I think each of them got the NLDS, the World Series, and NLCS MVP. So all 3 of them made an impact in each round. So, the Braves there, and then, Flag, one of our high school classmates, being six man for Baylor last year and winning a national championship. So that's pretty much it. And, a big moment for us, I guess, would say drafting Trevor Lawrence. I think he's going to be fine in the future, but that was a big moment, securing QB1 and a franchise quarterback, which we haven't had since Mark Brunell. So those are my pretty much 3 moments.
So for me, man, what a year of sports this was, eh? First off, just props to the fact that the leagues were able to actually keep it going. Obviously, with sports, these athletes literally putting everything on the line for us, and their own health and safety was, I think, more than ever this season due to extenuating circumstances was way more difficult. So the fact that they all wanted to play because they have the passion, I think that means a lot. And so got to give all the props in the world to these athletes who brave this pandemic to go through this, of course. So that's one of my moments. You kind of mentioned with the mental health stuff, Jelani, that and just the strength of athletes this season to speak out with mental health, with what the Olympic gymnasts, I believe this year, I apologize so much if it was last year as well, but I could have sworn there was also something about this year. The Olympic gymnasts who fell victim to Nasser, but before there was still talk, there was that trial. So just the strength from them. A lot of people don't realize how grimy the USA Olympics gymnast program can be. So I think slowly we're starting to shed more light on some of these programs and stuff that need to have more light on them because athletes are getting taken advantage of, whether we don't realize it. So just like the mental strength to be able to do that and to admit to that, like that takes a level of strength that's like no words can do justice on. So there's that. When it comes to that off the field, I'd say on the field, like you guys have mentioned, the Braves winning the World Series. I feel I could be wrong, but I feel like all the champions this year, like it meant something special with the Braves winning the World Series for Atlanta, with the Buccaneers winning, of course, for the legacy of Tom Brady just growing ever more.
Yeah.
The Tampa Bay Lightning winning back-to-back for hockey, that's big. The second team in the salary cap era to win back-to-back. And to me, I think one of the top two most talented teams that the NHL has seen the last like 20 plus years. Going back to the year 2000, they're supremely talented and special. I think for people to get to watch that happen in real time, I think is big because I feel like dynasties are a little few and far between with sports now. Like it's Tampa, then the last one was probably Golden State, and then who was the last dynasty before them, right? Miami only won back-to-back with the Heat, right? And I'm a Heat fan saying that. It's like we only won back-to-back. You got to go back a long ways. And so I think for sports fans getting to see that, and Giannis and the Bucks winning, I think was wild to say the least, because they started that series down 0-2, and that comeback, and Giannis, the prince who was promised for a while, he delivered. Just this was such a special year in sports, and there's so many more moments we can get into because of course the Olympics happened this year. Because 2021 was a little bit had to be 2020 for a little bit there when it came to that. But yeah, I think this was just for as crazy of a year as we had in 2020. I think the year that we just finished up, I think it was a solid start to slowly get back, and the sports world definitely helped with that.
For sure. Yeah, like you said it perfectly. Like I said, a lot of good sports moments, and that's one thing I wanted to say too. Yeah, I think this year a lot of the champions, it meant a lot to their program. A lot of first-time winners in a long time. Like I said, Atlanta Braves, even we talked about Baylor. I think the only repeat really was Alabama. Like everybody else, I think was in Tampa Bay. They're a newer franchise, but of course, like I said, they put back-to-back winning season together. The Bucks winning their championship. I don't know since 2000 or was it 1999? I mean, the last time they won Super Bowl, or 2001, something like that. Is one of those 3 years. I don't remember, or 2003. I just know that era, somewhere between 2000 and 2003, they were pretty good. And I want to say 2003.
But I think it may have been 02 because I think 03 was the Patriots.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. You're right. So.
What team? Wait. What team? You talking about?
Tampa Bay.
Yeah, it was 2001 or 2002. I think it was 2002.
Yeah,
2002 because the Pats went 3-4.
Yeah. So, yeah. Like I said, that does it really for like I said, sports in 2021. I know we're looking forward to 2022. One as a network, as individuals, sports world. Like I just know it's more to come. But this year, like Jerry said, it was definitely a while. The last 2 years, honestly, and of course, because of COVID, it's been a crazy year in sports. Even what we're seeing right now with the NBA, all these old, not old. I don't want to say old because they're not even really old. Like Brandon, like just seeing Brandon Knight play again, like that's crazy. Lance Stevenson's on my Atlanta Hawks. Like all these guys that's getting the opportunity. Joe Johnson playing with the Celtics. Like all these guys getting 10 days. It's funny, but at the same time, kind of surreal. I know for them, and just in helping kind of resurrect their careers. Mario Chalmers going back with the Heat. Jared, I know you guys are probably excited about that. So it's a lot of interesting things going on with the NBA, unfortunately because of COVID, but at the same time we get to see some of these guys that we like to see in the mid to 2010s, come back and start playing again in the NBA. But overall, want to say thank you for you, Jared, for coming on, joining us for our last episode of the year. Of course, want to thank you too, Thad, of course, for riding with me, my guy since high school, and us doing this podcast and continue to try to get better, keep growing, especially with Off the Ball Network, and just get better at this thing and see where this all takes us. But definitely shout out to everybody on Off the Ball Network, Prez, Mo, Kenneth, Steven, of course, Jared, Bart, all the guys, can name for on and on and on. But like I said, we gotta get out of here. Game's gonna come on. I see them about to run through the tunnel. But appreciate everybody for rocking with us. Appreciate everybody for tuning in today, and we'll see you guys next year.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you guys
next year. Of course. Have a good one.